Racing in race 322, the final of the under-23 men's double scull. A scratching there from Mercantile in lane 1. Lane 2 is the University of Queensland and Cairns. Lane 3, the West Australian Rowing Club. Lane 4, Griffith University Surfers Paradise and Capital Lakes. Lane 5, the Adelaide Rowing Club. Lane 6, North Esk. Lane 7, Sydney University and Banks. And lane 8 is Pine Rivers.
And the question is, Richard, can anyone stop Cormac Kennedy Leverett and Harry Glacken in this one? Remembering that yesterday, Cormac Kennedy Leverett won gold in the under-23 men's single and Harry Glacken won silver. So watch out for lane 4 there. They are going to be quick. They're currently in first place, 1:35.21 through the opening 500 metres. Blythe and Hodgson from Uni of Queensland, they're not too far behind, 0.35 seconds further back. So you can see it is Glacken and Kennedy Leverett leading at the moment. Next to them in lane 5 is the crew from Adelaide and the South Australian Sports Institute, Jack Deans and Angus Dawson. Jack Deans 6th in the single yesterday, Angus Dawson 4th. And in this event last year, Jack Deans was fifth with Willis Armstrong. So he's back again in this under-23 men's double. And they're in third currently. University of Queensland and Cairns, Morgan Hodgson and Riley Blythe currently in second place. But Cormac Kennedy Leverett and Harry Glacken look to be moving at quite a speed.
Yeah, we're used to seeing boats containing Cormac Kennedy Leverett, the sculler from Queensland, well out in front here on this course. And it's happened a few times already over this week. Some dominant wins, particularly in the single scull, as you say, Ben. And that's the way to enjoy the racing too. From the bikes on the far side of the course, getting up close and personal with our race leaders there in lane 4. The combination of Harry Glacken from the Capital Lakes Rowing Club in the Australian Capital Territory and Cormac Kennedy Leverett there in the stroke seat for the Griffith University Surfers Paradise Club. And it's certainly a clear water lead back to the rest of the field. Could be a good race for second and third, but you can see there the margin, a couple of boat links now already to the crew from Queensland and the ACT.
Yeah, it certainly is increasing. And the worst thing about those close-ups on the cyclists is that we can see the cyclists who are not wearing helmets. Now, the rule is you've got to wear a helmet. We can see a few there not wearing helmets. Make sure, if you're riding on the bikes, that you're wearing a helmet. I think that's 3 out of the 4 we just had on the shot there that aren't wearing a helmet. So please wear a helmet. We don't want any bad injuries. As we can see, the 1,000 metre times up there. Glacken and Kennedy Leverett, 3:12.71 through the 1K. 3 seconds the difference back to Riley Blythe from Cairns and Morgan Hodgson from University of Queensland. And then in third place, Adelaide. So we've got the 1,500 now, and that gap has widened. It was 3 seconds at the 1K. It has doubled. It's 6.37. Blythe and Hodgson 0.26 further back. And once again, it's a pretty clear-cut top 3 here, Richard. And there are the two in front, Glacken and Kennedy Leverett. Just too good at the moment. Cormac Kennedy Leverett in stroke, Glacken in the bow seat. Wow, that lead is increasing. And I'm not surprised based on their results in the single. Gold and silver, remember, yesterday. And they are speeding away to another gold for Kennedy Leverett and Harry Glacken. A gold for him after the silver yesterday.
It looks that way, but a good race for second and third still between Adelaide in lane 5 and the University of Queensland across in lane 2. So a few lanes between those couple of crews, but they look set to fight it out here for the silver medal. And also they're the red colours of the West Australian Rowing Club, plus North Esk on this side in lane 6. All an outside chance of a minor medal, but our race leaders they're up in front, but being chased here, I think, by the Adelaide crew going clearly up into second place now as well.
And you can see there is a move from this near side of the Sydney University and Banks crew of Meads and Walsh, who are trying to push for a spot on the dais. We will wait and see whether they can slot their way into the bronze medal position. But as you look to the front of the course, Cormac Kennedy Leverett and Harry Glacken, they've only got a few strokes to go. There's a strong push coming from Adelaide in the middle of the course and Uni of Queensland on the far side, but it won't be enough. And the golden week continues for Cormac Kennedy Leverett. A gold now in the double to go with the gold in the single. Harry Glacken grabs a gold as well. Adelaide takes silver. And bronze goes the way of the Uni of Queensland composite with Cairns. Morgan Hodgson and Riley Blythe take bronze. Sydney Uni came hard and strong late. They couldn't quite get there. They finished 4th. WA Rowing Club in 5th place. And we're just awaiting the crew from Northesk, who will finish in 6th and 7th place. We'll go to the composite crew, I should say the Pine Rivers crew of Colin Chapman and Henry Borger.
So unofficially they're in race 322. Big win to Harry Glacken of Capital Lakes and Cormac Kennedy Leverett of the Griffith University Surfers Paradise Club. 2nd place, Adelaide and the South Australian Sports Institute. 3rd place, the University of Queensland and Canned Composite Combination. 4th, Sydney Union Banks. 5th, the West Australian Rowing Club. 6th, North Esk. And 7th place, Pine Rivers across the line now as well. The unofficial winning time, 6:30.44. And the winning margin, a significant 6.50 seconds for Griffith University and Capital Lakes. The presentation of medals for the Under-23 Women's Double Scull Championship of Australia. The medals will be presented by Nick Gall, Chief Executive Officer of Rowing Victoria. In 3rd place, and bronze medalists, a composite crew from the Tamar Rowing Club, Alexandra Wrigley. And from the Cairn Rowing Club, Taylor McCarthy Smith. Crew was coached by Brendan Long and Benjamin Southwell. In 2nd place, and silver medalist, representing the University of Queensland Boat Club, Rhea Thompson. And Lily Alton. Crew was coached by Benjamin Southwell. The gold medalists and Australian champions for 2019. A composite crew from the West Australian Rowing Club, Georgia Patton. And from the Sydney Rowing Club, Harriet Hudson. Crew was coached by Donovan Seck, Rhett Aliff and Lachlan Carter. Please congratulate the 2019 Australian champions and medalists. Back on the course, race 323 is about to get underway. This is the Under-23 Women's Coxless 4. You can see the 5 crews lined up there in the starters' hands. Lane 3 is a composite crew from the Sydney, West Australian and Swan River clubs. Lane 4 is the Mercantile Rowing Club from Melbourne. Lane 5, Sydney University and the University of Technology, Sydney. Lane 6, Melbourne University. And Lane 7, Griffith University, Surfers Paradise and the University of Technology, Sydney. Great look at the start there, Ben. Possibly the composite crew from the Sydney clubs just edging out in front in lane 5 in the centre of the course.
Yeah, and lane 4, that's the crew with a couple of the members who won the Under-21 gold last year, Georgie Gleeson and Kirsty Green. Expect them to be strong, but they're a little far back off the start. The Mercantile crew in lane 4, the red and white. And out in front, it is lane 5, Sydney Uni Composite with N Swiss. So that Mercantile crew is part of the Victorian Institute of Sport, the Sydney Uni Composite part of the New South Wales Institute of Sport, a combined crew of Sydney Uni Boat Club and also the University of Technology in Sydney. You can see the 2 UTS sweep rowers in the middle of the boat, Grace Reid and Nicola Martincic, and Dione Bettiger and Tara Rigney. They are at opposite ends in bow and also stroke, and they're ahead at the moment of the crew over on the far side of the course in lane 3, which is the Sydney Composite. Sydney, Western Australia and Swan River rowing clubs represented on that far side of the course. And then lane 7, the Griffith Uni Surfers Paradise and UTS Composite. They're in 3rd at the moment. But there's the crew leading currently, Sydney Uni Composite. Dione Bettiger, she was part of the 4 that won last year alongside Lauren Fornasaro. Georgia Patton, who just won the double and Bronwyn Cox. They won gold in the under-23 women's Coxless 4 last year. So there you can see the times through the first 500 metres. Sydney University and UTS, the Lane 5 crew in first, Sydney Composite second, Griffith Uni Surfers Paradise in third, Melbourne Uni fourth, Mercantile fifth, just a second between each of the crews, a couple of seconds between third and fourth. Griffith Uni Surfers Paradise just ahead of Melbourne University, but a long way to go in this 4, as you can see from the shots overhead. A little bit of work to do for the crew in lane 4. Mercantile, they're a long way back at this point, but just over 600 in. So there's enough time for them to pull back that advantage.
Yeah, plenty of time left in the race. Our race leaders there on lane 5 is a combination of the top 2 pairs from the women's under-23 Coxless pair yesterday, with Sydney Uni, N-Swiss, Rigney and Bettiger just beating home UTS, N-Swiss, Martinchik and Reed by 3/4 of a second. So a close race between those 2 pairs. They combine today into the 4, so it's not surprising to see them at the front of the field here. 2 rowers from the University of Technology Sydney there in the centre of the boat, and the bow and stroke from the Sydney University Boat Club. But they are having a good battle here with that crew on their far side, with the 3 bow number in place from the Sydney, West Australian and Swan River Rowing Clubs. Leah Franklin of Swan River and Olivia Jones of the West Australian Rowing Club placed 3rd in that same pairs race yesterday. So we are seeing the same athletes competing strongly in the bigger boat event, as well as they move from the Coxless pair to the Coxless 4.
Well, Richard, I think we're going to get a great finish between these boats at the front of the field. You can see that Sydney Composite crew, the 2 Sydney sweep rowers, Lauren Graham and Isabel Fura. They are in bow and 2, the 2 seats closest to the rear of the boat. And then you've got Olivia Jones from WA Rowing Club in the front, and also Leah Franklin. She's in 3 seat from Swan River Rowing Club, coached by Lachlan Carter, Joseph Tamegi and Mark Beer. So a combined effort there. And the N-Swiss crew, who are just ahead at the moment in lane 5. There they are in the Andy Snedden, Sydney University and UTS, all represented there, coached by Alpha Young and David Geely. But the crew in lane 3, Sydney Composite, they are not giving up without a fight here, and they're just holding on, maybe even gaining some ground. You could just see them moving up on the Sydney Uni Composite crew. So they're just hanging on to enough of an advantage at the moment, but it's not a safe advantage, Richard. It's an advantage which the crew in lane 3 will feel they can pull back.
It still sits at about 1/3 of a length. You just sense we're in a bit of a holding pattern here in this race as they progress through the 3rd 500. Neither crew really able to break away from the other, but that lead just extending now out to about 1/2 a length. In fact, it would be the lane 5 combination. So we'll wait and see what these 2 crews have in store over the final 500 metres of the race. They're about to go through the 1,500 metre mark, and Sydney UD now lead it by 1.66 seconds. So they have gone out to about 1/2 a length.
Yeah, the race just simmering away at the moment between the top 2. The big question is, how much gas has that Sydney, Western Australia and Swan River Composite crew got in them? We'll wait and see. Griffith Uni Surfers Paradise are in a duel with Melbourne University for the minor medal, the bronze medal, and Mercantile are back in 5th. They're not too far back either, so that battle for bronze is potentially a 3-way battle. But at the moment, it's the N-Swiss crew who are pulling away from the Sydney Composite crew. Can they drive the legs? Can they find something in this last 250 metres? It may be even out to a boat length here, Richard. They're just driving through. They are driving them into the ground now.
They're looking good now, that crew, Rigney, Reed, Martinchik and Bettiger. They've gone clear by almost a length. I think the race for 3rd might be the interesting one. The bronze medal to be decided probably out here in lane 6 and 7. So right in front of the grandstand between the Griffith University Surfers Paradise and UTS Composite crew, and also Melbourne Uni in lane 6. So some action close to the grandstand, but it looks like the lane 5 crew just too good at this stage of the race now.
You can see Grace Reed and Nicola Martinchich in the middle of the boat, powering through. Tara Rigney and Dione Bettiger. They're at each end. Bettiger, remember, won this event last year, the under-23 women's Coxless 4 with that Uni of WA Composite, and it looks as though she is going to do it again. They've just driven from start to finish. They've held the advantage over the Sydney Composite, and now they are the Australian champions. Second place to the Sydney Composite crew. And bronze, the best crew in the place for that is the Griffith Uni Surfers Paradise and UTS Composite. And in the end, they've done it easily. They've got a boat length over Melbourne Uni. They take bronze. Melbourne Uni take fourth. Mercantile, the VIS crew, finish in fifth place.
Yeah, half that crew in third place also finished fourth in the pair yesterday, Jess Scott and Lukey Smith. So the all four place getters from yesterday's event coming through in the Coxless 4 as well. Unofficially first, Sydney Uni and UTS. Second place goes to Sydney, West Australian and Swan River Rowing Clubs. Third place, Lane 7, Griffith University, Surfers Paradise and UTS. Fourth, Melbourne University. And fifth is the crew from Mercantile. The unofficial winning time there, 6:48.90 and 3.43 seconds the margin from first to second in the under-23 Women's Coxless 4 final. The presentation of medals for the under-23 Men's Double Scull Championship of Australia. The medals will be presented by Stuart John, CEO of Rowing Australian Capital Territory. In third place, and bronze medalists representing the Canned Rowing Club, Riley Blythe. And from the University of Queensland Boat Club, Morgan Hodgson. Coaches Michael Russell and Scott Rowe. In second place, and silver medalists, representing the Adelaide Rowing Club, Jack Deans. The stroke Angus Dawson is unable to be present. The crew is coached by Jason Lane. The gold medalists and Australian champions for 2019 from the Capital Lakes Rowing Club, Harry Glacken. And from Griffith University Surfers Paradise, Cormac Kennedy Leverett. Crew was coached by Marcus Free and Nick Garrett. Please congratulate the 2019 Australian champions and medalists. And a big field set here in the under-23 men's Coxless 4. All crews poised at the start line, about to get underway. Lane 1 is Mercantile and Adelaide. Lane 2, the Sydney Rowing Club. Lane 3, the North Esk Rowing Club. Lane 4, Melbourne University and the University of Technology, Sydney. Lane 5 is Melbourne University. Lane 6, Canned, Commercial and Toowong, a composite crew from Queensland. Lane 7, the Sydney Rowing Club. And lane 8 is the Sydney University Boat Club as they're underway in 3-2-4. The under-23 men's Coxless 4 final. Sydney University, the defending champions here, Ben, and all crews away very close together.
Marcus Britt and Will O'Shannessy, along with Andrew Judge and Jack O'Brien, they won gold last year. And you remember yesterday, they were unstoppable, Marcus Britt and Will O'Shannessy in the under-23 pair. And you sense this is a pretty strong crew they've put out there this morning in that Sydney University boat. They're in lane 8, Morgan Brooking and Lachlan Miles alongside Britt and O'Shannessy. But it's the middle of the course you've got to look out for, and that is the Melbourne University and UTS Composite. James Heath, Tom Page, Alec Rose and Tom Hooper, who was fourth in the under-21 4 last year. So that's a strong crew coached by Michael Poulter and Matt Ryan. And they're powering through with about, well, maybe a canvas on lane 1, which is the Mercantile and Adelaide composite crew.
Here comes the drone to give us a great moving shot of these crews as they surge their way past the 500-metre mark. Now it is Melbourne Uni and UTS very narrowly, 0.3 of a second from Mercantile and Adelaide. So lane 1 right across there on the far side, top of the screen, narrowly second from the lane 4 crew. Lanes 2 and 3, you can see have dropped back a little bit there, but also Sydney Rowing Club over on this side, the right-hand side of shot now there in 7th. The third place on lane 7, but it would be Melbourne Uni and at UTS in the centre of the course. Nick Lavery of UTS, Joe O'Connell of Melbourne University, Ed Walmsley of the Melbourne University Boat Club, and Rowan Lavery of the Melbourne University Boat Club. We saw the Lavery brothers win together yesterday in the pairs event as well. Come second, I should say, in the pairs event. You're right, it was Britt and O'Shannessy, the winners. The Lavery brothers in second place in the under-23 men's Coxless pair. And they continue to lead this race. That combination on lane 4, Melbourne University and the University of Technology. See now to what looks like almost half a length from possibly the crew now closest to the camera, Sydney University, who are moving up into what looks like a narrow second place from Mercantile and Adelaide right across on the far side of the course. And certainly lane 8, Sydney Uni, coming through strongly here in the second 500 metres.
Well, Richard, we know how important cohesion and teamwork is in these sweep boats, and you can see the crew out in front, the Melbourne University crew of Lavery, O'Connell, Edward Walmsley and Rowan Lavery. They've got those two boys who, of course, were second in the pair, and they are looking the goods currently. Melbourne University, they're the crew that actually came fourth in the under-21 event last year. They're a little bit further back. And then lane 8, Marcus Britt and Will O'Shannessy. Remember, gold yesterday. They beat the Lavery brothers. Could they do it again today? At the moment, it's about half a boat length. You could just see a little glance over there from the Melbourne University UTS composite. And you can see the UTS rower Nick Lavery there in 3 seat. Joe O'Connell, Edward Walmsley and Rowan Lavery, all from Melbourne Uni Boat Club, coached by Michael Poulter and Matt Ryan. And maybe that lead could have just increased slightly. At the 1K, the gap was 0.94 and very tight. 1 through to, well, 5 in this particular race. So looking forward to seeing what these 1,500 metre splits are. And you can see there from that drone shot, the top 5 very evenly spread across the course and not too much difference between them. There's the crew leading at the moment. There's the crew challenging them on the near side in lane 8 with the bright orange bow number. Britt, O'Shannessy, Miles and Brooking, coached by Donald McLaughlin. Could they overhaul their Melbourne University counterparts? We know the rivalry between Melbourne Uni and Sydney Uni. Here it is on show. Can they produce something in the last 500 metres? There's the difference. It's 1.5 seconds. Back to Mercantile, it's 1.8 and then 0.56, the difference between third and fourth. But here we go. We're going to get a cracking showdown here, Richard. Victoria against New South Wales, Melbourne Uni against Sydney Uni.
Yeah, just like the Sheffield Shield final also taking place at the moment. Victoria and New South Wales, a tradition that dates back a long, long time. But I reckon the Sydney Uni crew has still got their work cut out on this side of the course. Probably 3/4 of a length or so to reel in on our race leaders from Melbourne Uni and UTS. Of course, Nick Lavery of UTS, who until recently was a Victorian. His brother's still rowing for the Melbourne University Boat Club, along with Joe O'Connell and Ed Walmsley at MUBC. And they are having this challenge, but come from Sydney Uni on the grandstand side of the course. Still on the far side, the Mercantile Adelaide composite crew as well, very much in the battle for third place, along with Sydney and Swiss in 7, and the Queensland composite, the Cairn composite crew in lane 6.
And the crew over on the far side, they've got Ben Canham and Mitch Hooper, who won bronze yesterday. But here is the push from Sydney University, with half of the crew winning gold yesterday in the under-23 men's pair. Can they come back in the last 500 metres and overhaul Melbourne University? It's going to be tight, but it's not going to be enough. Melbourne Uni grab gold, bragging rights for Victoria. Sydney Uni silver. And bronze goes the way of Mercantile. So revenge for Nick Lavery and Rowan Lavery after they went down to Britt and O'Shannessy yesterday in the pair. They get one up on their Sydney rivals this morning. Sydney get bronze, Mercantile Adelaide 4th, Cairn Composite 5th, Melbourne Uni 6th, and Sydney in 7th place.
Just waiting on confirmation of those places. Certainly for third, it was extremely third and fourth, very close there for the bronze medal. But no doubt about the winners by over a second, but still unofficial there. Melbourne University and UTS in first place, the lane 4 combination. Second to Sydney University on lane 2. And at this stage, we're saying third to the Sydney Rowing Club, who are racing in lane 7, and that has just been adjusted now, but the placings remain the same. So Sydney Rowing Club third, Mercantile Adelaide on the far side will finish fourth, just 0.2 of a seconds there, keep them out of the medals. Cairn Composite in 5th place, Melbourne Uni in 6th, Sydney in 7th place. 8 will go to North Esk in race 3:24, and the time there unofficially still 6:09.20 and 0.69 of a second, the winning margin for the Melbourne Uni UTS composite combination. The presentation of medals for the under-23 Women's Coxless 4 Championship of Australia. The medals will be presented by Stuart John, Chief Executive Officer of Rowing Australian Capital Territory. In third place, and bronze medalists from the Griffith University Surfers Paradise and University of Technology Sydney clubs, Lara Wainwright, Kelly Drenth, Lukey Smith, and Jess Scott. Coaches Lincoln Hanley and David Geely. In second place, and silver medalists, representing the Sydney, West Australian and Swan River rowing clubs, Lauren Graham, Leah Franklin, Olivia Jones, and Isabel Farah. Coaches Lachlan Carter, Joe Tamiji, and Mark Beer. The gold medalists and Australian champions for 2019 from the Sydney University Boat Club and the University of Technology Sydney, Tara Rigney, Grace Reed, Nichela Martinchick, and Dion Bettiger. Coaches Alfie Young and David Geely. Please congratulate the 2019 Australian champions and medalists. As we go back up to the start line now, a couple of open events now as we move to the senior category of racing here. The Open Women's Double Scull final is underway. Lane 1, Brisbane and GPS. Lane 2 is Phoenix and Adelaide. Lane 3, Adelaide and Sydney University, including yesterday's single scull winner, Genevieve Horton. In Lane 4, North Esk and Huon. Lane 5, Capital Lakes and Sydney University. Lane 6, Swan River and Mercantile. Lane 7, Adelaide and the University of Technology, Sydney. And Lane 8, Griffith University, Surfers Paradise and Toowong. And it looks like, Ben, we're a couple of crews short here. Scratchings from lanes 1 and 2. So, in fact, a field of 6 with Adelaide, Sydney Uni on the far side. Genevieve Horton in the same lane. I think she won the single scull from yesterday on the outside of the course.
Yes, from the outside. I think it was lane 2, so just 1 inch. She'll have good memories from that side of the course. And she's with, look at that. Look how tight that is. 3, 5, and 7, all the bow numbers together. That's the Adelaide Sydney Uni Composite, the Capital Lakes Sydney Uni Composite, and the Adelaide UTS Composite. So tight between all of those 3 crews. And you sense this one is going to go right down to the wire. Remembering yesterday, Jen Horton won that single, as Richard was mentioning. She was also won gold in this event back in 2016 with Sally Kehoe. Last year, her crewmate, Molly Goodman, won with Maddie Edmonds from Commercial Rowing Club in this Open Women's Double Scull. Molly Goodman won silver in the Open Women's Coxless pair yesterday with Sarah Hoare, and now she's into the sculling boat. But at the moment, some work to do for them. Not a lot, but they're just behind currently in 3rd place. Pound and Aldersey in lane 7. Olympia Aldersey won gold in this event with Maddie Edmonds back in 2017. She's had a few partners over the years. Has Maddie Edmonds, a great record in the double and also the single. And the lane 5 crew, Kara Greskoviak, won bronze in the single. Also won bronze in this event in 2018 with Harriet Hudson, who we saw win a little earlier, and Fiona Ewing, 4th in the single, bronze in 2017 in the double with Jen Horton, who's over on the far side of the course. So plenty of connections between these crews, and that's why it's a race in 3 at the moment, because you can see Melbourne University a long way back in lane number 4, and they are in 4th place at the moment, over 6.5 seconds further back. So gold, silver and bronze. We know probably who's going to win gold, silver and bronze. It's just a matter of the order. And I tell you what, I don't think we're going to know that until the last 100 or so metres. Now it is the Capital Lakes composite of Ewing and Greskoviak, who are just ahead at the moment. Remembering that Fiona Ewing finished 4th yesterday after going in one of the middle lanes. She went through the earlier races with the fastest time, and she will be looking forward, or one of the fastest times, and she'll be looking to win the double this morning and erase those memories of yesterday. And she's got the lead by about a second from Adelaide and UTS, and then Adelaide and Sydney Uni in 3rd at the moment, Richard, at the halfway point.
An absolute race of 2 halves, isn't it? You've got the 3 crews out in front, being a battle of their own for the medals, and the other 3 crews sitting behind them. The top 3 crews containing a number of the elite Australian athletes, some from the National Training Centre here at Penrith, of course. Genevieve Horton, the winner of the single scull yesterday, in partnership with Molly Goodman. That's the lane 3 combination. Lane 7, Sarah Pound and Olympia Aldersey, also training here at the National Training Centre. Between those two non-NTC athletes, but both involved in high-performance programs. Kara Greskoviak from the Capital Lakes Rowing Club and the ACT High-Performance Program, and Fiona Ewing from the Sydney University Boat Club and the New South Wales Institute of Sport. They're in lane 5. They were 3rd and 4th in the single scull yesterday, as you mentioned, Ben. So a pretty good combination there, and they have the race lead at this stage as they come through into the final 3rd or so of this race now. But still plenty of time remaining for these medals to be sorted out between the 3 crews in lanes 3, 5 and 7. But from that shot, yeah, it's almost a length lead now to Ewing and Greskoviak on lane 5.
Yeah, and yes, it would be an upset if those two got up. As you mentioned, the other 2 crews around them from the National Training Centre, and Greskoviak and Ewing may be a little frustrated after yesterday. Greskoviak did take a bronze, and Ewing 4th, as I mentioned a little earlier. And currently, yeah, it's probably about a boat length. We're going to get the splits from the 1,500 metre mark, and there is the race of 2 halves. So gold, silver and bronze all sorted. Capital Lakes and Sydney Uni, Greskoviak and Ewing just ahead of Horton and Goodman now from Adelaide and Sydney University. Jen Horton in the stroke seat, Goodman in bow, and then in the centre of the course, or over in lane 7, it looks central from here, Adelaide and UTS, Pound and Aldersey. You can see Sarah Pound, she's in the stroke seat, Aldersey in bow, coached by David Julie and Jason Lane. So here we go, about 400 metres to travel, and the question is, can Horton and Goodman pull it back? How much did Jen Horton spend in that single yesterday? That would have still taken a lot out of her after she went at it from start to finish, went out hard. This morning, she's going to have to take a different tact and fight back late if she's to take gold in the 2 events in 2 days.
And race leaders looking good there on the close-up shot. You can see them go past the 1,750 metre mark now. They maintaining that linked advantage still and just looking, well, it's hard to be described as comfortable with 200 to go in a 2,000 metre race, but they have a margin on the two chasing crews, Genevieve Horton and Molly Goodman over in lane 3, and Sarah Pound and Olympia Aldersey on this side of the crew. An Olympian, couple of Olympians in those two boats, but they are being led still here by Fiona Ewing and Cara Graskoviak with just over 100 metres now to race.
Yeah, so it's still Ewing and Graskoviak, Horton and Goodman. They're going to have to pull something out in the last 50 metres. They come at them. It's looking like it won't be enough. Still in third are Pound and Aldersey. Well, they've got a point to prove this morning, and that is an upset to be proud of. Cara Graskoviak and Fiona Ewing claim gold in the open women's double scull. They've edged out Horton and Goodman, who take silver, Pound and Aldersey with bronze.
Since Polly left the kettle, are you both turned off?
Yes. The unofficial results of race 325. A win to Fiona Ewing and Cara Graskoviak on lane 5. Second place went to Genevieve Horton and Molly Goodman, lane 3. And third place was Sarah Pound and Olympia Aldersey. Fourth, Melbourne Union Huon. Fifth, Griffith University Surfers Paradise. Sixth, Swan River and Mercantile. 7:01.60 the winning time there for the lane 5 crew, and 3.47 seconds they won it by. It was a bit closer for third, but the crew from Adelaide UTS easily holding on there. Presentation of medals for the under-23 men's Coxless 4 Championship of Australia. The medals will be presented by Stuart John, Chief Executive Officer of Rowing Australian Capital Territory. In third place and bronze medalists representing the Sydney Rowing Club and the New South Wales Institute of Sport, Harry Crouch, Jackson Kench, Alex Nicol, and Alexander Potter. Coaches Franz Imfeld and Donovan Steck. Second place and silver medalists representing the Sydney University Boat Club, Marcus Britt, Morgan Brooking, Lachlan Miles, and Will O'Shannessy. Crew was coached by Donald McLaughlin. Gold medalists and Australian champions for 2019. From the University of Technology, Sydney, Nick Lavery. And from the Melbourne University Boat Club, Joe O'Connell. Edward Walmsley. And Rowan Lavery. Coaches Michael Poulter and Matthew Ryan. Please congratulate the 2019 Australian champions and medalists. As we move on to race 326, the final of the Open Men's Double Scull. Field of 7 over 2,000 metres. Possibly a field of 6, in fact. We understand the lane 3 crew is not present.
And Richard, as we just say the start, everyone getting ready for the start. Great to see a big crowd in here for day 5 of the Aon Sydney International Rowing Regatta, sponsored by Aon. And I'll let you go through the start list.
Yeah, so lane 3 is definitely not present. So a field of 6 in this race, so they still have to back themselves into the start pontoon. Lane 2, the Mercantile Melbourne University composite crew of Carsten Forsterling and Edward Northrop. Lane 3 is vacant. Lane 4, the University of Queensland Guard Smoge and Sampson Hatfield. Lane 5, a composite crew, Caleb Anthill from the Australian National University and David Watts from the Sydney Rowing Club. Lane 6 is Team Vanuatu, Rio Ri and Luigi Thailand. Lane 7, Sydney University and the National Training Centre, Campbell Watts and Cameron Girdlestone. And lane 8, the Sydney Rowing Club and National Training Centre as well, Angus Moore and Spencer Turren. The crew's just backing into position. And still look like we're a couple of minutes away from a start, just to attach all the boats and align them before they will be on their way in race 326, the final of the Open Men's Double Scull, followed by the Open Women's and Men's Coxless 4. So plenty of Australian team members in action on the course in the next 20 minutes or so, and they'll surely put on some pretty exciting racing. We're just seeing Sydney Rowing Club, Angus Moore and Spencer Turren there closest to the camera, the last crew to back into position. The boat holders still doing a great job up there at the start, securely keeping these boats in place. The liner will have the bows in a straight line shortly, and then the starter will send them on their way.
Well, there you go, Richard. There's some shots of the crowd. I know they can't see them. Well, they probably can see themselves on camera, actually. If you're looking at the big screen, just have a quick glance up and see if you're on the camera.
Plenty of people around the venue too, watching the racing on their mobile phone. You no longer have to have a direct sight of the course to know what's going on. You can follow it around on your phone and know exactly what's happening. But
could we get a bit of kiss cam going this Arvo? Maybe during the lunch break or something. Spice things up a bit.
A big crowd building up in the grandstand there too, so plenty of potential for that. And I reckon the crowds will grow over the next couple of days as well as we get closer, of course, to the some more finals. And the schools finals and the interstate regatta on Sunday will certainly be a highlight. And they are underway now in race 326. This is the final of the Open Men's Double Scull. The Adelaide and Sydney Rowing Clubs were the winners of this race with the composite crew last year, but 6 crews are on their way and some pace on the far side of the course in the early stages. The NTC crews in lane 7 and 8. Team Vanuatu lane 6 just dropping back a little. It's lane 5, then Caleb Anthill and David Watts as well, probably the very early race leaders.
Yeah, last year, Simon Keenan and Josh Booth taking out Simon Keenan and Josh Booth taking out the Open Men's Double Scull, as you were saying. Adelaide and Sydney with the NTC involved with that crew, and you can see the top 4 crews very much evenly matched. Uni of Queensland's Guard Smoge and Sampson Hatfield have dropped back, as have Team Vanuatu's Relio Ridge and Luigi Thailand. So you sense it'll be a race in 4 as it stands at the moment, and you can see the Sydney Uni boat in lane 7. Campbell Watts, who's part of the Australian double with Hamish Playfair. He's been selected for World Cups 2 and 3, and Cameron Girdleston, who's part of the quad. And Caleb Antill and David Watts, they're also part of that quad. They're in lane 5, you can see, in second place at the moment. The man who is part of that quad who's not racing in the doubles is Alex Purnell. So you can see the three members of that Australian quad are in this race, with Campbell Watts from the double also there.
And we must make mention of Carsten Forsterling over on the far side of the Melbourne University Boat Club colours, rowing with Edward Northrop at 39 years of age, if my maths is correct, which makes me feel a lot happier up here, I can tell you. But he is a former world champion, of course, from 2011, and an Olympic silver medalist in the Rio Games and the quad, a bronze medal in the London Games of 2012 as well. And Carsten Forsterling, many national titles to his name as well. But back in the boat and competing strongly over there in lane 2 for the Melbourne University Boat Club in combination with Edward Northrop of Mercantile. And they'd be sitting probably in third at this stage as we come through with past the 500 metre mark now. But certainly that Mercantile Melbourne crew in the hunt for the medals. Sydney Uni first and second at this stage.
And Richard, Carsten Forsterling is part of the Australian team. He's one of the reserves for the men's sculling. So a chance if there's an injury. Obviously, you don't wish injury on anyone, but if there is an injury, he will slot in there. With David Bartolot as well, one of the reserves alongside Forsterling. So there you can see at the front, Watts and Girdleston leading at the moment in lane 7, 1:33.15 through the opening 500 metres, and they are still ahead, 3:08.99 the split time through the first 1 kilometre. Sydney University and ANU's Antill and Chambers. Caleb Antill, of course, yesterday in the single, he claimed a silver medal. And he's out there with David Watts, who was 4th in the single yesterday. Bronze in this event last year with Nathan Bowden. And gold in 2016 with Chris Morgan. So he knows what it takes to win. And then in 3rd place is Forsterling and Northrop. So you can see the top 3 with probably an even gap between all of them. And I may just double check here. We have had a substitution in that boat in lane 5. It must be Leon Chambers, who's alongside Caleb Antill, who was in the single yesterday as well, finished in 7th place. The lightweight, Leon Chambers, won the gold medal last year in the under-23 men's lightweight final. So he's slotted in place of David Watts, it seems, on the information we are getting.
And Edward Northrop in that boat with Carsten Forsterling was 4th in the single scull event yesterday too. So we've got most of the place getters here in the double sculls as well. And every chance Edward Northrop's going to go at least 1 place better in the double, sitting certainly in the bronze medal spot at this stage. But this lane 7 combination of Watts and Girdlestone seems to be continuing to pull away there from Antill and Chambers, we believe it is, in lane 5 for Sydney Uni as well.
Now, we saw the finish yesterday from Spencer Turin in that pair with Hamish Playfair. I think he's got a lot of work to do here. They're in 4th place. They're about 6 or 7 seconds from first. We'll get a better look at that now with 500 to go. So 4:45.84, the time that Watts and Girdleston go through the 1,500 metre timing hut in, and they've left that behind in a flash. They've got 4.5 seconds to the Sydney Uni ANU composite with N-Swiss involved in that crew as well. Antill and Chambers, Forsterling in 3rd, with Northrop and Angus Moore and Spencer Turin in 4th place, 9 seconds behind 3rd. So that's enough to say it's going to be a bridge too far for Spencer Turin and Angus Moore. It's really going to be between the top 3. And at the moment, there's an even enough spread between them. Can they do anything about this lead? Caleb Antill and Leon Chambers. It might be silver again for Antill after he finished 2nd in the single yesterday to Alexander Hill. We're going to see Alexander Hill a little bit later on. He's a couple of races away, I think, in one of the sweet boats. But out in front, it's Watts and Girdleston who are just surging into the last 100 metres. There is an attempted response from Leon Chambers and Caleb Antill, but I don't think it's going to be enough in the bright yellow boat in the centre of the course. Fosterling and Northrop, the evergreen Carsten Fosterling from Melbourne Uni Boat Club. They should get bronze, but powering towards the line is Watts and Girdleston. Remembering yesterday, Campbell Watts was 8th in the single. Girdleston was 5th. They've put that behind them. They're going to claim gold in the double. The whole more than the sum of the parts between those two. Superb performance. And crossing the line in the silver medal position is Caleb Antill and Leon Chambers. Fosterling is going to snatch bronze with Northrop. And that's the gold, silver and bronze all sorted in this one. Spencer Turren and Angus Moore will hang on just for 4th against the grandstand here. And then the Uni of Queensland crew in the centre of the course, Smoge and Hatfield, will claim 6th. Team Vanuatu gets 7th.
Now, unofficially in race 3-2-6, the final of the Open Men's Double Scull. First place, Sydney Uni and NTC, Campbell Watts and Cameron Girdlestone. Second, Sydney University and the ANU, it is Caleb Antill and Leon Chambers there. And third place, Mercantile and Melbourne Uni, Carsten Forsterling and Edward Northrop. Fourth, the Sydney Rowing Club on lane 8. Fifth was the University of Queensland. Sixth place, Team Vanuatu. The time there, 6:23.90 and 7.63 seconds between first and second place. The presentation of medals for the Open Women's Double Scull Championship of Australia. The medals will be presented by David Hutton, Chief Executive Officer of Rowing South Australia. In third place and bronze medalists from the University of Technology, Sydney, Sarah Pound. From the Adelaide Rowing Club, Olympia Aldersey. Coaches David Geely and Jason Lane. Second place and silver medalists from the Sydney University Boat Club, Genevieve Horton. And from the Adelaide Rowing Club, Molly Goodman. The gold medalists and Australian champions for 2019. From the Capital Lakes Rowing Club, Kara Griskoviak. And from the Sydney University Boat Club, Fiona Ewing. Crew was coached by Nick Garrett and Donald McLaughlin. Please congratulate the 2019 Australian champions and medalists. Back down to the start line for race 3-2-7, the final of the Open Women's Coxless 4. One scratching there from the Mercantile crew in lane 5. So 4 crews remain. Lane 3, Melbourne University and the Victorian Institute of Sport and the National Training Centre. Lane 4, a Tamar, Sydney University, Banks and Commercial crew, also from the National Training Centre. Lane 6, a West Australian Swan River, Fremantle and University of Western Australia crew based at the National Training Centre. And in lane 7, an Australian Defence Force rowing and Australian Defence Force Academy composite crew.
And it's the crew without a bow number who are ahead at the moment. Making it a little bit tricky, but we should be able to work that out with a little bit of process of elimination, and that is Melbourne University over in lane 3. Lucy Steffen, Elise Frenetic, Catherine Mitchellmore and Georgina Howe, coached by Matt Ryan. And Elise Frenetic actually replaces Alice Arch from the crew who won silver last year in this event. Stefan won silver with Catherine Mitchell-Moore back in 2017 and also gold in 2016. So she knows how to do it. Lucy Stefan, who's over in the far side in that Melbourne University Women's Coxless 4. And this race, Richard, is for the Herald and Weekly Times Trophy. The current holder, the Fremantle Composite crew, Siona Wilson from Tamar, Jacinta Edmonds from Commercial, Rosie Popper from Banks, and Annabelle McIntyre from Fremantle, who won gold. Annabelle McIntyre is actually in lane 6 in the WA Rowing Club Composite crew. So they're out in front at the moment. Can she go back-to-back in this 4?
So, yeah, 3/4 of that winning crew from last year over in lane 4 in what's now the Tamar Composite crew, and one member in our race leaders in lane 6. So, majority of NTC athletes making up these leading couple of crews in lane 6 and 4, and then over on the far side as well in that Melbourne University Composite crew. So, pretty strong competition between those three, and then the crew on this side closest to the camera in lane 7 is the Australian Defence Force Rowing and Australian Defence Force Academy composite crew, who are in 4th place at this stage.
Yeah, Georgina Gotch, the only difference from that crew, as we mentioned, Annabelle McIntyre, she's moved to the crew in lane 6, the WA Rowing Club composite, and Georgina Gotch has slotted into that Tamar composite with Tamar, Sydney Uni Boat Club, Banks and Commercial. So 4 different clubs represented there in lane number 4. Very tight currently, and you can see it was 138.80, the crew in front in lane 6, the WA Rowing Club Composite. Tamar Composite in 2nd, Melbourne University connected with the VIS and also the National Training Centre in 3rd, and then the ADF crew in 4th place. So seems at the moment that it's really between the top 3. We know who's going to win gold, silver and bronze. It's just the order. We know those 3 crews are going to be in the medals. And at the moment, it's about half a boat length the lead for the WA Rowing Club Composite. Bronwyn Cox from University of WA Boat Club. You've got Annabelle McIntyre from Fremantle. Lily Tinapple from Swan River Rowing Club. She's in 3 seat. And Hannah Vermeesh, she's in bow. She's with Western Australia Rowing Club. Annabelle McIntyre, I think, was in stroke there. I was just double-checking the Fremantle Zudi, but yes, she was. So there you go. The gap is a 2.5. Melbourne University back in 3rd. Maybe Melbourne University just slipping away at the moment, but there's nothing that splits 1 and 2 currently. About, well, maybe a 1/3 of a boat length.
Yeah, it's barely that between these top couple of crews, but that 36 number showing up clearly in front. We're getting out towards half a length now as that lane 6 combination just does start to push through this 3rd 500 metres now, but they certainly haven't broken clear. And lane 4, the other NTC crew alongside them there. Still every chance over the second half of this race. But the lane 6 combination, the West Australian Rowing Club, well, the 4-club composite crew really as they come through the 1,250 metre mark now. And that gap not getting any bigger between our top 2 crews. So it looks like they're set to race this one right down to the finish line.
Yeah, 2 4-club composite crews, both part of the National Training Centre. And Annabelle McIntyre will know just how quick that crew is in lane 4, having won the title with them last year. And she's stroking the crew in lane 6, the WA Rowing Club Composite. And at the moment, it's the Tamar Composite who are closing in on them as we speak. Every stroke, they just seem to be moving closer and closer towards the bow ball of the lane 6 crew, the NTC crew, the WA Rowing Club Composite. So this is really going to be a duel to the death right at the finish here. You sense this one will be decided, and it's, well, maybe even half a boat length here as we see the times come through. No, that gap has no doubt closed in. 5:02.45, 1,500 metres into the race. The Tamar Composite in 2nd, 1.23 seconds further back, and then Melbourne University, they're in, well, right in the middle of 2nd and 4th, really, and you'd say that they're going to take bronze. 5 seconds further back, a little too far to pull back 1st and 2nd, and a long way ahead of 4th place ADF Rowing Composite. So here we go, Richard. Last 400 metres, and I tell you what, you can't split them at the moment. Just ahead is the WA Rowing Club Composite, but Tamar are coming to get them.
Yeah, still that same margin. Still that same margin between these top two crews as they come inside the final 250 metres now. The lane 6 crew still by half a length or so as these two NTC crews battle it out down towards the finish line. Plenty of members of the Australian Women's 8 from last year across these two crews as well that raced so well at the World Championships, coming third in the final analysis. But the lane 4 combination just trying to come back on lane 6. They're getting there slowly, but will they do it in time with 120 metres still to race?
Remembering that Annabelle McIntyre is the only member from that crew over on the far side. She switched crews who won gold last year. 3/4 of that gold medal winning crew last year are currently in second place, and they are currently attempting to overhaul the WA Rowing Club composite, but it may not be enough. It won't be enough. Super stuff from the WA Rowing Club composite. Gold to them, silver to 3/4 of the crew who won the gold last year. Not quite enough for them this morning. And in third place, Melbourne University, and the ADF rowing composite will finish in 4th place. And you can see the fatigue and the excitement. Annabelle McIntyre there in stroke. Gold in consecutive years for her. 6:42.21 the final time.
Exactly right. So unofficially first there, the West Australian Rowing Club, an NTC composite crew, lane 6 ahead of the Tamar composite NTC crew on lane 4. Third place to Melbourne University, and still completing the course here is the composite crew from the Australian Defence Force Rowing and the Australian Defence Force Academy. They'll finish in 4th place. The winning time there for the lane 6 combination was 6:42.21. And as it looked like, it was about half a length, 1.54 seconds, in fact, between first and second in race 3:27, the Open Women's Coxless 4 for the Herald and Weekly Times Trophy. And that 4th place crew across the line there too, ADF Rowing and the Australian Defence Force Academy completing the race. So West Australian Rowing Club win the battle of the National Training Centre crews to take out the win in race 3:27. 6:42.35 now, the adjusted time. A presentation of medals for the Open Men's Double Scull Championship of Australia. The medals will be presented by David Hutton, Chief Executive Officer of Rowing South Australia. In third place, and bronze medalists from the Mercantile Rowing Club, Edward Northrop. From the Melbourne University Boat Club, Karsten Forsterling. Second place, and silver medalists from the Australian National University, Caleb Antill. From the Sydney University Boat Club, Leon Chambers. The gold medalists and Australian champions for 2019, representing the Sydney University Boat Club, Campbell Watts. And Cameron Girdlestone. Please congratulate the 2019 Australian champions and medalists.
Just turn your mic off for a sec. Even see them.
Racing in race 328 for the Open Men's Coxless 4 for the Bob Aitken Memorial Trophy. A field of 7 on their way. Lane 2, the University of Queensland. Lane 3 is the Banks Rowing Club. Lane 4, Tasmania University and Tamar. Lane 5, the University of Technology Sydney and the National Training Centre. Lane 6, Adelaide, Murray Bridge and Sydney Rowing Clubs. Lane 7, a Mercantile, Mossman and Sydney Composite Crew. And Lane 8, a Sydney University and National Training Centre Composite Crew. Ben, I'll leave this race to you, and Owen Nick's coming in to join you shortly.
Thank you, Richard. Thanks for your company this morning. Go and enjoy an early lunch, maybe. You're going to go and steal my lunch? Potentially. Sydney University ahead, 127.67, 500 metres into this race. UTS in second. Adelaide Composite in third, Mercantile Composite in fourth, and then well back in fifth is the Tasmania University and Tamar crew, then the Uni of Queensland in sixth, and Banks in seventh place. Now, last year it was Pat Boomer from Mercantile, Simon Keenan from Melbourne Uni Boat Club, Josh Dunkley-Smith from Mercantile, and Josh Booth from Melbourne Uni Boat Club, who took home the Bob Aitken Memorial Trophy, that Melbourne Uni Mercantile Composite crew. This year, it's going to be a different winner. Alexander Hill, remember, he's in lane 6. He won the Open Men's Single yesterday. He's moved to the Sweet Boat today. Could he get a boat, I should say a medal, in 2 different boating disciplines? We'll have to wait and see. Angus Dawson, James McRae and Nathan Bowden in that boat alongside him, the Adelaide NTC Composite with the South Australian Sports Institute. UTS and the NTC Composite in second place as it stands, but maybe even the Mercantile Composite has just nudged their bound ball ahead. Plenty of interest in this one as they move towards the halfway mark of this race. Nearing 3 minutes in, and that crew out in front at the moment is the crew in lane 8, Sydney University, Jack Hargraves, Jack O'Brien, Nick Purnell and Alex Purnell. Hargraves 6th in the Open Men's Single yesterday. Purnell was 3rd, and he produced an outstanding last 500 metres where he was 7th at the 1500, and he was the bronze medal winner, I should say, at the line. So he's not going to require any of those heroics as it stands currently. Second place is the Mercantile Composite, Hardy Black, Liam Donald and Angus Whitcomb. But Sydney Uni streaking the field at the moment. Owen Nix, good morning to you. Great to have you alongside me for the next hour of races.
Yes, good morning, Ben, and yeah, fantastic crew on screen. The Sydney University NTC crew in the Open Men's Coxless 4 for the Bob Aitken Memorial Trophy, and they're shoot it out well clear on this side of the course. Jack Hargraves, Jack O'Brien, Nick Purnell and Alex Purnell.
And we saw what Nick Purnell could do yesterday in the single. A wonderful finish. He's got plenty in the legs. And as I was saying before, it's looking like he won't need that finish today because the gap is widening and widening. Look at that now. A couple of boat lengths lead. Maybe even 3 back to the Lane 7 crew from Mercantile and also UTS, the NTC and Victorian Institute of Sport crew.
Yeah, it's a considerable gap that they've got as they start to make their way up towards the 1500 metre mark. Jack O'Brien in the stroke seat there, and with Alex Purnell in the bow seat. And Jack O'Brien, his first year at the National Training Centre. He was in the Australian as the under-23 pair last year, and then as a result got selected to be the Australian senior pair with Andrew Judge. And he's there with Jack Hargraves, 2-time world champion in the 3 seat. And the big man, Nick Purnell, in the 2 seat, who we mentioned, just knows how to absolutely bury himself when he needed. And I don't think it's going to be necessarily needed in this one. They are well clear of the Mercantile Composite crew and the Tasmanian University crew out of lane number 4 in 3rd spot, and having a good tussle with the crew from UTS.
Yeah, 250 metres to travel now, and it's all Sydney University at the moment. You can see in second place the Mercantile Composite crew, and in 3rd in the centre of the course is the yellow boat of the Adelaide Composite, Murray Bridge, and also Sydney. But powering through with less than 100 metres to travel down the course is Jack Hargraves, Jack O'Brien, Nick Purnell and Alex Purnell. In the end, they're going to do it quite comfortably. It is a super row for the Bob Aitken Memorial Trophy. It was in Melbourne last year. It is heading to Sydney in 2019. Sydney University streaking the field. There's the Australian Championship for them. Second place is going to go the way of Mercantile. Third will head to South Australia and also Sydney Rowing Club. And just edged out for fourth, UTS. Another NTC crew with the Victorian Institute of Sport. And you can see a few crews left to finish, and that is Tasmania University Composite, who will get there in fifth. You'd expect Uni of Queensland maybe just ahead at the moment in sixth, of Banks in seventh.
So unofficial results. At University first in a time 5:57.06, 4.71 seconds back to the Mercantile Mossman Sydney Composite crew, and the Adelaide Composite with Murray Bridge and Sydney Rowing Club were in third, a further 1.74 back. Fourth UTS, fifth Tasmania University Tamar, and sixth the University of Queensland, and seventh Banks Rowing Club from Melbourne. Presentation of medals for the Open Women's Coxless 4 Championship of Australia, and the medals will be presented by David Hutton, the Chief Executive Officer of Rowing South Australia. Third place and bronze medalist, Melbourne University, the Victorian Institute of Sport and the National Training Centre. Lucy Steffen. Elise Frenetic. Catherine Mitchellmore. Georgina Howe. Coach Matthew Ryan. Second place and silver medalists, Tamar, Sydney University, Banks Commercial and the National Training Centre. And Jacinta Edmonds from Commercial. Rosie Popper from Banks. Georgina Gotch from Sydney University Boat Club. And Siona Wilson from Tamar Rowing Club. Gold medalists and Australian champions for 2019. West Australian Rowing Club, Swan River, Fremantle, the University of Western Australia and the National Training Centre. Bronwyn Cox from the University of Western Australia Boat Club. Annabelle McIntyre, Fremantle Rowing Club. Lily Tinapple, Swan River Rowing Club. And Hannah Vermeesh, West Australian Rowing Club. And the Herald and Weekly Times trophy will now be presented by David Hutton to the victorious crew from West Australian Rowing Club, Swan River, Fremantle and the University of Western Australia. Please congratulate the 2019 Australian champions and medalists. And racing now with the under-23 lightweight women's double sculls. Race 329 in the field we have Tasmania University, University of Queensland in lane 1. Australian National University in lane 2. Mersey Huon in lane number 3. In lane 4, Sydney University Boat Club. Lane 5, Toowong, ANU. Lane 6, Toowong Adelaide University and the South Australian Sports Institute. Lane 7, Fremantle Rowing Club. And lane 8, Adelaide Sandy Bay.
And we've got a few members of that single race yesterday in the under-23 lightweight women's single scull. Lucy Theodore, who took that event out. She's in lane 6 in that Toowong composite alongside Celia Cowan, who came 5th in that particular race. You can see Celia Cowan is in bow and Theodore in stroke, and they're just ahead at the moment of the Toowong composite. Jilly Roberts from ANU, who was 2nd in that single race, and Caitlin Douglas, who was 4th. I should say Jilly Roberts 3rd in that single. She took a bronze medal away from that race yesterday. Caitlin Douglas just behind her in 4th place. So those two really going at it, and in 3rd place currently, as you can see, 1st and 2nd so tight as it stands currently. In 3rd place over on that near side of the course is the Mercy composite, it seems, with Kate Hall and also Hannah Tippett. So Kate Hall from Huon and Hannah Tippett from Mersey. So 1:47.16, the opening 500 metres. And just ahead was the crew from Toowong and also ANU. Jilly Roberts from ANU, Caitlin Douglas from Toowong. They're in 1st place. 2nd just behind, but it's pretty much bow ball to bow ball at the moment, is Celia Cowan from Adelaide University, Lucy Theodore from Toowong, and then in 3rd place it's a contest between Reardon and Nerry, who are from Adelaide and Sandy Bay. Annika Reardon finished 7th in the single yesterday. Sophia Nerry missed out on that final altogether, so they're doing well over on this near side, which you will see against the grandstand as they come into view, and also Hall and Tippett over on the other side of the course. So an even spread across the course of this final of the under-23 lightweight women's double scull. It was Sydney University and UTS which claimed the victory in this event last year. And the crew that won that race, Georgina Masters, who's not in the race, and Wallace Russell, who's not well this week, as we've heard previously. Georgina Masters won silver in the under-23 lightweight women's single scull yesterday. So as you can see, this duel is going to continue, and the two Toowong scullers in the stroke seat of each boat, Lucy Theodore in lane 6, the winner of that single yesterday, Jilly Roberts, bronze in the single. She's in bow of lane 5. Caitlin Douglas in stroke seat from Toowong. So there you go, lane 5, lane 6, 1st and 2nd. This is going to go right down to the wire, you sense, at the halfway point, just half a second between them. Mercy and Huon 4.5 seconds further back, and then Adelaide and Sandy Bay in 4th. Sydney University 5th, Fremantle in 6th place, and 7th ANU rounded out by Tasmania University and the University of Queensland composite. This is going to be a really, really tough race all the way down the course. They've been next to each other. Maybe this is the first little opening that we've seen with Jilly Roberts and Caitlin Douglas just taking a slight advantage, maybe a canvas ahead of them. Is there maybe just a slight response from Cowan and Theodore in lane 6, coached by Leo Kamadimitris, Jason Lane and Brinley Millwood. The Toowong composite in lane 5, coached by Kamadimitris as well, Nick Garrett and Kieran Dwyer. So here we go. The final timing point is going to be very, very intriguing to see what the gap comes out as. It's maybe half a boat length at the moment. Question is, how much left in the tank is there of Celia Cowan and Lucy Theodore? Remembering that Lucy Theodore won the single yesterday, she would have spent a lot of gas. It was a very tight finish with Georgina Masters finishing just 0.17 seconds behind her. So she put a lot into that effort yesterday. Can she produce something in these last 600 or so metres to win a second gold in 2 days? That question left to be answered. 5:31.77 is the number for Toowong as they go through the 1500 metre timing hut. 1.30 seconds. That is the gap. It's about half a boat length, maybe even increasing further with 400 metres left to travel. You can see third place is Mercy and Huon, who are over in lane 3, and then Adelaide and Sandy Bay, Reardon and Nerry. They're in 4th place currently, 3.81 seconds from a spot on the dais. And then Franz and Trelaw from Sydney University in 5th, Ellison Council from Fremantle in 6th, Rennie and Moylan from ANU in 7th, and Tasmania Uni and Uni of Queensland still in 8th, a long way back. So that lead, it may be slightly just getting bigger and bigger for Jilly Roberts from ANU and Caitlin Douglas from Toowong, coached by Leo Karadimitris, Nick Garrett and Kieran Dwyer. Jilly Roberts trying to upgrade that bronze medal yesterday in the single to a gold in the double today. Lucy Theodore, who is next to her, can she grab a second gold in as many days? Celia Cowan missed out on a medal yesterday in the single, as did Caitlin Douglas. They're in opposite boats. They will get a medal today. The question is, what colour will it be? They tick towards the 7 metre mark. It is still the Toowong composite in lane 5, the Toowong and ANU composite just ahead of the Toowong and Adelaide University composite. But the response is coming from Celia Cowan and Lucy Theodore with 50 metres to travel. It's probably half a boat length. It may even be reducing with every stroke, but keeping their bow ball and half a boat length ahead are Jilly Roberts and Caitlin Douglas. They're going to hang on in the end. The finish was superb from Cowan and Theodore. It won't be enough, though. They'll have to settle for a silver medal. 3rd place goes the way of the crew from Mercy and Huon, Hall and Tippett in lane 3. Reardon and Nerry from Adelaide and Sandy Bay get 4th place. Sydney University 5th.
And unofficial results. First place to Toowong and the Australian National University. That's Roberts and Douglas in a time of 7:26.77. Toowong, Adelaide University 2nd place. Mersey Huon placing 3rd. Adelaide Sandy Bay 4th. Sydney University 5th. Fremantle 6th. ANU 7th. And in 8th place, Tasmania University, University of Queensland. Presentation of medals for the Open Men's Coxless 4 Championship of Australia. The medals will be presented by Andrew Gearan, Rowing Australia Life member and board member. Third place and bronze medalists, Adelaide, Murray Bridge, Sydney, the National Training Centre and the South Australian Sports Institute. Nathan Bowden of Sydney Rowing Club. Angus Dawson, Adelaide Rowing Club. James McRae, Murray Bridge. And Alexander Hill, Adelaide Rowing Club. Second place and silver medalists, Mercantile Mossman, Sydney Rowing Club and the National Training Centre. Sam Hardy of Sydney Rowing Club. Rob Black, Mossman Rowing Club. Liam Donald, Mercantile Rowing Club. And Angus Whitcomb, Mercantile Rowing Club. Gold medalists and Australian champions for 2019, Sydney University Boat Club and the National Training Centre. Jack Hargraves, Jack O'Brien, Nicholas Purnell, Alex Purnell. And the Bob Aitken Memorial Trophy will now be presented by Andrew Gearan. Please congratulate the 2019 Australian champions and medalists. And race 330s on the course. The under-23 lightweight men's double scull. Field of 4 with lane 3, Capital Lakes, Nicholas Tanner, Matthew Norton. Lane 4, Toowong, Christian Place and Miles Matheson. Lane 5, North Esk, Adelaide Rowing Club. And the Tasmanian Institute of Sport, Oscar McGuinness from Adelaide and Connor Ryan of North Esk and the TIS. And Banks Rowing Club in lane number 6.
And that North Esk composite well ahead at the moment, about 2.5 seconds, even more. Oscar McGuinness and Connor Ryan, who won bronze in this event last year, and it's seeming as though it may be an upgrade in 2019. Oscar McGuinness also third in the single, in the under-23 lightweight men's single yesterday. Kane Bullock, who's in lane 6 with Lachlan Shigata. He came 4th last year in the under-23 men's double, so going up against the heavyweights. And last year, it was Matt Curtin and Leon Chambers who took a gold medal away from this event, the Sydney University UTS composite with N-Swiss. But out in front, you can see the crew from North Esk and Adelaide, Oscar McGuinness and Connor Ryan, and it's the Adelaide sculler in bow seat, Oscar McGuinness. Connor Ryan from North Esk from Tasmania. He's in stroke, setting quite a decent stroke rate, and currently they're just passing the 1,000 metre checkpoint, 3:21.25. And it's 6.5 seconds back to Christian Place and Miles Matheson from Toowong, Capital Lakes in 3rd place, and Shikata and Bullock in 4th. Tanner and Norton, that crew, in the bronze medal position as it stands. Nicholas Tanner, Matt Norton, coached by David Bagnell and Luke Hennessy. And then Banks, who aren't out of it at this point in terms of a race for a medal. Lachlan Shigata and Kane Bullock, coached by William Raven. They have got a little bit of work to do, though, but don't write them off a spot on the dais at this point. But at the moment, there they are, and there is the water that is between themselves and the silver medalists, or the crew in the silver medal position at the moment, Christian Place and Miles Matheson, and it is a sizable margin. So I think really the jewel at the moment to be interested with is the contest for that 3rd spot between Capital Lakes and Banks, because the width of the camera can't even catch up with the competitors at the moment, because Oscar McGuinness and Connor Ryan are just powering away from the rest of the field with every stroke they take. They're just driving them into the dust at the moment, and the 1,500 metre timing hut is approaching, and well, it can't approach quick enough for the crews behind them, because they are well behind. McGuinness and Ryan are going to look at this time. I'll be quite impressed with it, because it's going to be a big margin to 2nd place. We'll get a look at that right now. 5:04.59 the time for McGuinness and Ryan through the first 1,500 metres, and the wait for silver, and the crew in the silver medal position, takes a while. It takes 10 seconds for the Toowong crew in 2nd place of Christian Place and Miles Matheson, coached by Kieran Dwyer and Leo Karadimitris. This is strong rowing from these two boys. Looking nice, Owen.
Yeah, they're looking comfortable, well clear. The Adelaide Sculler in the bow seat, Oscar McGuinness. They're at the right of the screen. And Northwest's Connor Ryan on the left of the screen. They just connect with it and then just start to drive the big legs down, and that's what's seeing them move ahead of the rest of this field as they start to make their way up to the 1750 metre boys, which is the red line of boys are just crossing through now.
Lovely conditions for them, and really you can see that 1750 metre mark. They've left that behind them in a flash. Such impressive rowing, and they are going to just get to enjoy this last 150 metres. It's not something often you get to do, to enjoy the last 100 metres or so as you roll in to win an Australian Championship. But that is exactly what Oscar McGuinness and Connor Ryan are going to get to do. Bronze medal, these two, in 2018. There'll be no bronze medal for them this year because it's going to be gold. Second place, it's a strong push from Toowong, Christian Place and Miles Matheson. Third is going to be a really good duel between Banks and Capital Lakes. But we look to the finish line and we see Oscar McGuinness and Connor Ryan from start to finish. They've dominated. Gold to them. Bronze last year, gold in 2019. Toowong are going to take a silver medal, and Capital Lakes are going to do enough to hold the bronze medal from Banks, who are coming strong and fast at the end. Not strong and fast enough, though.
So unofficial results, North-Esk Adelaide taking the win in 6:48.02, 13.1 seconds back to the second placed Toowong crew. Capital Lakes finishing with the bronze medal, 3.44 seconds in arrears, and Banks in fourth. Presentation of medals for the Under-23 Lightweight Women's Double Scull Championship of Australia. And the medals will be presented by Rob Prescott, Chief Executive Officer of Rowing Tasmania. Third place and bronze medalists representing Mersey and Huon rowing clubs. Kate Hall from Huon. And Hannah Tippett from Mersey. Their coaches David Tippett and Paul Newbon. Second place and silver medalists representing Toowong Rowing Club, Adelaide University Boat Club and the South Australian Sports Institute. Celia Cowan of Adelaide University. And Lucy Theodore from Toowong. Their coaches Leo Karadimitris, Jason Lane and Brinley Millwood. Gold medalists and Australian champions for 2019, Toowong and the Australian National University Boat Club. Gilly Roberts from the Australian National University Boat Club. And Caitlin Douglas from Toowong Rowing Club. Their coaches Leo Karadimitris, Nick Garrett and Kieran Dwyer. Please congratulate the 2019 Australian champions and medalists. And just underway in race 331, it's the under-23 lightweight men's Coxless 4. And just the sole crew out of lane number 5, Swan River and the University of Western Australia, with William Williamson of Swan River, Ethan Aird of the University of Western Australia, Patrick Bayrer and Michael Orton. They're from Swan River Rowing Club, and they're coached by Mark Beer, Neville Kempton and Stefano Belosso.
William Williamson last year, along with Ethan Aird, were part of the crew who won the title from Swan River Composite. The defending champions, Patrick Bower and Michael Orton, joined the crew, replacing Rowan James and James McQuillan, coached by Mark Beer and Neville Kempton and Stefan Belosso. So this one, a row over. They're just going to power down the course and take home the Australian Championship, defending their title from last year.
And Nick Garrett's very excited by the action.
You can see him on screen. And we can see a big crowd, people playing with their cameras, and this one, a procession, you could say. So, Owen, I think a good time as we wait for this crew to come up is just to remind people about what is coming up a little bit later. As there you can see, the cameras are out in force a little bit later on as we see this 500 metre split time come through, 1:33.47. The lunchtime learnings on at lunchtime today. It's a little bit later today, 1:45 is when we'll head to lunch, but plenty going on. Also, this book by Bruce Coe, pulling through the story of the King's Cup. Wonderful read, and make sure you grab it from the regatta shop during these Australian Championships. There you go, discussions among plenty in the crowd here at the Sydney International Regatta Centre. What are you thinking in this kind of race, Owen? When you're going out there and racing and you're the only boat out there, what are the options you've got? Do you go out there and absolutely gun it and fatigue yourself for your other races, or do you just take a little bit of pressure off the legs and have an enjoyable row on these flat conditions in Penrith?
It looks like they're trying to make the most of these really good conditions and see what they're really capable of. So they've already passed through about 800 metres and heading down the course at a decent clip. And going about the path of defending their national title. Absolutely beautiful conditions here for them.
It's been terrific conditions all week, hasn't it? It's been amazing from start to finish. We got a little bit of wind a couple of days ago, maybe on Wednesday afternoon, but apart from that, it's been amazing. There's a great shot of the course from the drone, and we've got a split through of 3:12.34 from the crew of William Williamson, Ethan Aird, Patrick Bower and Michael Orton, coached by Mark Beer, Neville Kempton and Stefano Belosso. We did have a shot of Neville Kempton before, didn't we, Owen, on camera? He was enjoying the action, having a bit of a chuckle to himself.
Oh, Nick Garrett, was it?
Nick Garrett, sorry, it was. My mistake. So we've got about 800 metres or so of the course remaining for this crew. Remembering next up is the open lightweight women's double scull, followed by the open lightweight men's double. Some medal presentations as well. I said in the last race that there's the drone. There we go. We've got a close-up of the drone. That is the little device which is bringing us such amazing pictures. There it is, going alongside the boys out in front. I was saying the previous race that Oscar McGuinness and Connor Ryan were enjoying their row. It's not often you get to row your way to an Australian Championship with clear water all around you and a massive lead. Well, these four are getting to do that in this particular race, in race 331. So the 1,500 metre timing hut is approaching. Not long now for the boys to celebrate an Australian title for the second year in a row for half of this crew.
And still moving along at about 34 strokes a minute as they come up to the 1,500 metre mark. About 1:33 through the first 500, and then about 1:38 and change, and then they're sitting about 1:39 and change, I think, through that third 500 metres. And now it's starting to look a bit more casual. The rating has come down, so it looks like they have raced that first 1,500 metres, and they're going to cruise on home.
Yeah, they put a lot into that opening 500 metres, but here we go. The boys just moving it down, slowing the rating. And I'll power through to this Australian Championship very, very shortly. You can see Ethan Aird, he is in 3 seat from University of WA Boat Club, and then the Swan River boys in bow and stroke and also in 2 seats. So a great result for Western Australian Rowing. Of course, they are hosting the Australian Masters Championships later on this year as they come into view. About 150 metres to go for the boys. And then the Australian Championship will be theirs. So a few strokes left, and it will be the Swan River Composite who push through and defend the title from last year. William Williamson, Ethan Aird, Patrick Bower and Michael Orton, coached by Mark Beer, Neville Kempton and Stefano Beloso. Half of that crew, part of the crew that won it last year, William Williamson and Ethan Aird. So there you go, an Australian Championship in the under-23 lightweight men's Coxless 4. And Owen, I'll let you go through the results in this particular race. The official results, they're quite long. Might take you a while to get through them.
And that time was revised from 6:45.66 to 6:45.8 for the Swan River University of Western Australia Composite. Presentation of medals for the under-23 lightweight men's double scull championship of Australia, and the medals will be presented by Rob Prescott, the Chief Executive Officer of Rowing Tasmania. Third place and bronze medalists, Capital Lakes Rowing Club. Nicholas Tanner, and Matthew Norton. Coaches David Bagnall and Luke Hennessy. Second place and silver medalists, Toowong Rowing Club. Christian Place. Miles Matheson. Coaches Kieran Dwyer and Leo Karadimitris. Gold medalists and Australian champions for 2019, North Esk, Adelaide Rowing Club and the Tasmanian Institute of Sport. Oscar McGuinness from Adelaide Rowing Club. Connor Ryan from North Esk and the Tasmanian Institute of Sport. And Coach Jason Lane. Please congratulate our 2019 Australian champions and medalists. Open lightweight women's double scull is on the start line. It's race 332 in the field that we have. Huon National Training Centre and the Tasmanian Institute of Sport in lane number 3. In lane 4, Corio Bay and Mercantile. Lane 5, Toowong, Griffith University Surfers Paradise. And lane 6, West Australian Rowing Club.
And the defending champions, UTS and Toowong. We've got Amy James from the crew who won last year in this event. And looking forward to seeing whether she can back it up. She was alongside Sarah Pound from UTS last year. And she's in lane 5 in the Toowong Zudi. You can see her just in stroke seat. In lane number 5, she's alongside Gemma Dane from Griffith Uni Surfers Paradise in Bow. Coached by Lincoln Handley and Kieran Dwyer. Bronze in the single in 2018 for Amy James. So bronze yesterday in the lightweight single. And Susanna Gravestock, who you can see just there in lane 6 in the WA Rowing Club boat. She finished second last year in this event in the Open Women's Lightweight double alongside Eve Muir from Huon Rowing Club in Tasmania. But at the moment, it's a lead for Eve Muir and Georgia Nesbitt. Eve Muir, as I mentioned, she won silver last year alongside Georgia Nesbitt, who won the single yesterday. So that is a very strong combination, coached by Paul Newbon and John Dryson. And the gap is already a decent one, and we haven't even got to the 500 metre mark. And you know that that is a serious advantage now. 500 metres in, usually tight. It's a 3-second lead for Eve Muir and Georgia Nesbitt. WA Rowing Club in third place. That's the crew of Janelle Austin and Susanna Gravestock, who I said was second last year, won silver. In second, it's Gemma Dane and Amy James. But there's the lead. And it's quite big, and there are the leaders, Eve Muir and Georgia Nesbitt. As we get the aerial view, and that just shows how big it is. 3 seconds at the 500, and you sense with every stroke, it is increasing. 750 metres, done and dusted for the leaders. And gold, silver and bronze undecided as yet, but it seems the top 3 crews are pretty settled. You can see the crew back in fourth, Corio Bay and Mercantile, about 3 seconds further back at the 500 metre mark. That is Hester, Megan Hester and Tennille Lynham from Corio Bay. Hester from Mercantile. There are the leaders, Owen, and they're going along quite smoothly at the moment. Eve Muir and Georgia Nesbitt from the Tasmania Institute of Sport with Huon Rowing Club and also the NTC.
Yeah, Georgia Nesbitt, fine performance to take out the Open Lightweight Women's Single Scull yesterday, and selected as the women's lightweight single scull for the World Cup Tour. I think obviously a little bit disappointed she was not selected in this class of boat, and a chance to try and qualify that boat at the World Championships for the Olympic Games next year. But having a very, very good regatta, and this certainly bodes well for the Tasmanian Victoria Cup crew with these Huon athletes doing so well. Eve Muir and Georgia Nesbitt, coached by Paul Newbin and John Dreesen. And Gemma Dane started off her rowing at Lower Clarence there in lane number 5, there with Amy James of Toowong and the National Training Centre. And they're just managing to keep their advantage over Janelle Austin and Susanna Gravestock of West Australian Rowing Club. You can see their bow just starting to creep into the corner of the screen.
But that is a difficult margin to pull back. And at the 1K, it had increased to 5.6 seconds. WA Rowing Club in third, and then fourth, Corio Bay Mercantile. So still a bit of a duel for silver between Toowong and Griffith Uni and WA Rowing Club. But one thing that is certain at the moment is there's no duel as it stands for the Huon crew out in front. And look at the lead. It's a few boat lengths now. Maybe they've just pulled it back slightly, the Toowong Griffith Uni crew of Gemma, Dane and Amy James. We'll have to wait and see at the 1,500 metre timing point. Maybe the camera's just zoomed out a little further, Owen, so I'm thinking it's not as far. But this is so impressive from the crew out in front. Eve Muir and Georgia Nesbitt from Tasmania. Good to see Tasmania doing well at this regatta. Plenty of medals. We just saw Connor Ryan from Northwest claiming his gold medal with Oscar McGuinness. Good week for Tasmania. There's Huon, 5:35.46 through 1,500 metres. So the lead hasn't increased as much in that last 500 as it had in the previous two 500 metre timing points, but well, it's still 6.66 seconds. WA Rowing Club 5 seconds further back, so an even amount of time between each of the crews, and they're all locked into their positions currently. Huon locked into gold, Toowong and Griffith Uni in silver, and WA Rowing Club in bronze. Amy James and Gemma Dane. For Amy James, it looks to be an improvement on her single result. She took home bronze. She did win this race last year. And she's locked into a silver medal position as it stands currently, 1,750 metres into the race. And Susanna Gravestock currently in the bronze medal position, silver last year. She's with Janelle Austin in 2019, coached by Joe Tamigi. Crew from Western Australia. As they come into view in front of the grandstand. Toowong at the moment, too good. I should say Huon at the moment, too good. Toowong back in second place with Griffith Uni Surfers Paradise, WA Rowing Club in third, and fourth for Corio Bay and Mercantile. But it will be the Tasmanian crew connected with the National Training Centre and also the Tasmanian Institute of Sport. A terrific win for the Tasmanian combination of Eve Muir and Georgia Nesbitt, Australian champions in the open lightweight women's double scull. Second place goes the way of Toowong's Gemma Dane and Amy James. Griffith Uni Surfers Paradise represented in that boat as well. And WA Rowing Club get bronze with Janelle Austin and Susanna Gravestock. Fourth place to Megan Hester from Mercantile and Tennille Lynham from Corio Bay.
So Huon in the National Training Centre and the Tasmanian Institute of Sport first in unofficial time, 7:27.35. That's now been revised, so it's taken off the camera. Further 8.14 back to Toowong Griffith University Surfers Paradise. And in third place was West Australian Rowing Club, Corio Bay Mercantile, fourth.
Owen, thanks for your company over the last hour or so. I'm going to go and take a break and maybe grab some lunch. We did have someone steal lunches yesterday from us, so I'm not the one, so I'm not going to do it again today.
That would be a first. Open lightweight men's double scull at the start line. Team Bangladesh, an unfortunate scratching out of lane number 5. Been great to see them make their debut. Corio Bay Tasmania University are in lane number 3. University of Queensland in lane 4. Lane 5, as I mentioned, vacant. Lane 6 is Glebe Rowing Club. And in lane number 7, Buckingham and the Tasmanian Institute of Sport.
Thanks, Owen. Thanks to Ben Homer for the last couple of hours of race commentary as well. Despite his protestations, we know he's off to go at the sandwiches. He's always careful not to be working in the lead up to lunch, which is a pretty smart move indeed. But we're watching these 4 crews just line up at the start here of race 333. There is a scratching, as Owen said, from Team Bangladesh on lane 5. But the other 4 crews are on their way, and a pretty quick start at the lane 7 combination there, closest to the camera. The Buckingham Club and the Tasmanian Institute of Sport. Tasmanians on either side of the course. Lane 3 is a composite Sam Casey of Tasmania University and Max Partington from the Corio Bay Club in Victoria. And lane 4 battling out with lane 7 for the leaders, the University of Queensland, Liam McCoy and Morgan Hodgson. And very close between those two in the opening stages. So it is lane 7, Buckingham, Crowe and Patterson who lead from University of Queensland, McCoy and Hodgson in second place. Third over the far side, Casey and Partington of Corio Bay and Tasmania University. And despite being listed on the program as a St George composite crew, it is just a glebe crew on lane 6. Cameron Ogilvie and Pierce Caponis, both members of the Glebe Rowing Club now. So racing in their colours, they're coached by Brad Smith and Stephen Irons, the combination on lane 6. As they approach 500 metres gone in the open lightweight men's double scull. And as they pass through the timing point, there it is, the all-Tasmanian combination lane 7, Jacob Crowe and Alec Patterson by 1.77 seconds from University of Queensland, McCoy and Hodgson in second place. Then Corio Bay, Tasmania University third, and that Glebe combination back in 4th position. Great shots from the drone there once again as we see these 4 crews continue on their way down the course, and it looks increasingly like the crew on the right-hand side of the shot there, closest to what is the grandstand side of the course from Buckingham and the Tasmanian Institute of Sport, Jacob Crowe and Alec Patterson, our race leaders, coached by Peter Gibson. And they've gone out to all of a sudden about 3 lengths lead it is there over the University of Queensland, McCoy and Hodgson in second place. So through halfway now, still Buckingham is in front, 3:18.87 their time, and it has stretched right out now to an almost 7.5 second lead, 7.47 seconds for Buckingham, Crowe and Patterson over University of Queensland, McCoy and Hodgson. And then third over on the far side, the Corio Bay and Tasmania University combination, Casey and Partington ahead of Ogilvie and Caponis from the Glebe Rowing Club. But the margins respectively there, 7.47 seconds, 9.19 and 8.02. So at this stage, none of the 4 positions really in doubt as they progress through the third 500 of the open lightweight men's double scull. We move to para rowing with our next event. The PR3 mixed double scull is next on the program, and quite a few para rowing finals over the next hour or so of racing. And in between those, some semi-finals of the under-17 women's and men's coxed quad sculls as well. So a few more finals still on the program, including of the para rowing events, but some semi-finals mixed in before we get to the lunch break in it's still more than an hour away till we pause briefly for about 45 minutes in the middle of the day. But in the meantime, this crew from Tasmania continues to be very comfortably clear over there on the far side of the course from the Buckingham Rowing Club. Appearing as but a distant speck in that drone shot from behind the field. The crew closest to the camera is the Glebe combination from Sydney, but they are back in 4th place and likely to finish, you would think, out of the medals, because Buckingham are comfortably clear, 5:01.36, over 12 seconds to the University of Queensland. And next across the timing point, still to get to the 1500, Corio Bay and Tasmania University. And then the Glebe combination, lane 6, will round out the field. So be a couple of 100 metres from first to last here. Our leaders are up to the 1750 metre point now as well. The Buckingham and Tasmanian Institute of Sport combination of Jacob Crow and Alec Patterson. It's going to be a very comfortable win indeed. They were in a tight battle with the University of Queensland over the first 500 metres, but once they got a Clearwater lead, they've just extended it stroke by stroke as they continue now into the final 150 metres or so of this race. So a very big win coming up to the Buckingham crew. Around about 34 strokes per minute at the moment, so certainly no need for a final sprint here. It'll be a very, very comfortable national championship to the open lightweight men's double scull. They'll take it off the holders too, the University of Queensland. The winners last year, they'll finish in 2nd place this time around. That's Liam McCoy and Morgan Hodgson. They're in the colours of the University of Queensland Boat Club in 2nd place. But the race to be won by Jacob Crow and Alec Patterson of the Buckingham Rowing Club in Tasmania, coached by Peter Gibson, and they win the open lightweight men's double scull. Buckingham in 1st place. 2nd will be the University of Queensland. Then 3rd over to the far side, Sam Casey and Max Partington from the Tasmania University and Corio Bay clubs. And 4th home will be the Glebe combination, Cameron Ogilvie and Pierce Caponis, with still a few strokes to go for those last 2 crews to complete the course.
And unofficial results of the open lightweight men's double scull. Buckingham first in a time of 6:45.83, 14.45 seconds back to the University of Queensland in 2nd spot, and 14.79 to Corio Bay Tasmania University. Glebe Rowing Club placing 4th. Presentation of medals for the Open Lightweight Women's Double Scull Championship of Australia, and the medals will be presented by Jim Gibson, President of Rowing Tasmania. Third place and bronze medalists representing West Australian Rowing Club, Janelle Austin, Susanna Gravestock, Coach Joe Tamigi, second place and silver medalist, Toowong Rowing Club, Griffith University Surfers Paradise and the National Training Centre. Gemma Dane, Griffith University Surfers Paradise. Amy James, Toowong Rowing Club and the National Training Centre. Coaches Lincoln Handley and Kieran Dwyer. Gold medalists and Australian champions for 2019, Huon Rowing Club, the National Training Centre and the Tasmanian Institute of Sport. Eve Muir. Georgia Nesbitt. And coaches Paul Newbon, John Dreesen. Please congratulate the 2019 Australian champions and medalists.